Serious. What is a real, horrifying way the world could end right now? Please like and subscribe to support this channel. So India recently had to move troops to Bhutan because China is trying to enter territory that isn't really theirs. This is one of China's moves to get control of all the surrounding territories of India. They even have Pakistan piggybacking on them. The US, Japan and India conducted naval exercises to show strength. Though China has a legit reason with a steady rising Hindu nationalism which we don't need in India in the year 2017. I have a feeling they will come to give us freedom, which in turn could just break out into a full-scale war with multiple nations siding and participating, including Russia and the UK. It could be a shitstorm. Okay, so start with the obvious, near-Earth asteroid. One that they missed. Asteroids are incredibly difficult to track in space if they aren't in our field of vision. Well, because they are small, dark and traveling at incredible speed. It is not unfeasible that one could impact on another, and send the ejected party careering towards us. It's happened many, many times before and it will happen again, whether we are equipped to deal with it or not. It's likely we will have some warning, but if a really, really big one decides to smash into us, we have probably had it as a species. If it was the size of the moon for example, it's likely that the impact energy would be so much that it would knock Earth of its current Goldilocks orbit around the Sun, it would liquefy all of the Earth's crust and the oceans would vaporize and bleed away into space. That's definitely game over, nuclear war. The world itself would not end, but it would be a cataclysmic event that could wipe out all life on Earth. The nuclear winter that followed would bring almost all species on Earth to the brink of extinction, including man. Clathrate gun effect. Lots of methane-rich molecules break down and release methane and CO2 into the atmosphere in biblical quantities, that were previously locked under permafrost. A sudden spike in global temperatures could cause this effect to bubble out of control and coat our planet in a thick layer of methane, which is a much more efficient greenhouse gas than CO2. It would cause a runaway greenhouse effect that could potentially vastly increase the temperatures on Earth and threaten all life as we know it. Anoxic event. This is a byproduct of severe and sustained volcanism on Earth, such as the eruption of the Yellowstone caldera. Because of the shroud of warming dust that is thrown into the atmosphere, oceans are less able to sustain oxygen in the upper and even middle layers, resulting in a huge die-off of life that lives in the oceans. This would have an enormous effect on all other life on Earth, and has been theoretically attributed to several extinctions already. Hydrogen sulfide emission. Bit of a long shot, but severe global warming could also result in an upset of the balance between photosynthesizing plankton and deep water sulfate-reducing bacteria, which could cause massive emissions of hydrogen sulfide gas, which is incredibly poisonous to all life. Less obvious. Gamma-ray bursts are not very frequent in the wider galaxy, happening every 100k years or so. They are also incredibly focused beams of light, and we would have to pass directly under that beam of light for us to be in any danger. However, it is likely that any impact of intense gamma rays on our atmosphere would cause severe, possibly even irreparable damage to the ozone layer, which would expose us all to devastating amounts of UV radiation, making life out in the open almost impossible during daylight hours. Gamma radiation like this would almost certainly be absorbed by the atmosphere to a degree, but some would still seep through and do terrible damage to all life. It would be difficult to ascertain just how much a percent of life on Earth would die, but it's certainly not a world ender. A period of geomagnetic reversal combined with a coronal mass ejection would be a devastating scenario. The Earth's magnetic field reverses a couple of times, weakening itself in the process. The Sun does a massive matter fart and flings some radiation our way with a whole bunch of charged particles. Our magnetic field isn't strong enough to deflect them all. They strip the atmosphere and oxygen ions get sucked into space by an order of 3 or 4 times that at which it currently does. Massive deoxygenation of the planet occurs, making life impossible. Not good. Rogue planet, dwarf planet. Similar to the asteroid scenario, there are stellar bodies out there in the void that have been ejected from their solar system. These are quite often rocky planets that have been the unfortunate victim of a hot gas giant, or a black hole ripping their solar system apart, etc. These rogue planets are traveling at truly mind-boggling speeds and are invisible until they intersect with a body of light. We would have absolutely no way to stop one if it was found to be on an impact course with Earth, and it would be a guaranteed world ender if it hit with any force. If it grazed our atmosphere etc., the gravitational effects would rip the surface to shreds and fling us out of our own nice and stable orbit, perhaps out of the solar system entirely, causing the planet to freeze to death. Rogue black holes. They are out there, we can see the big ones. What we can't see are the small ones, the ones that are traveling through space incredibly quickly, hoovering everything up. It's not crazy to think that maybe, one day a rogue black hole could enter our solar system and gobble it up. Granted, it would take a very long time, but there would be bugger all we could do about it. Solar expansion. Our star is very vanilla. It's small, not very hot and not very bright, in the grand scheme of things. Because it is small, it's not likely to go supernova, or collapse in on itself and form a black hole. What will happen is it will start to run out of fuel, which causes a massive expansion into a red giant star. Its circumference rapidly and greatly expands, and when it does, it will likely swallow the Earth whole, dissolving it like a sugar cube in a hot drink. What's likely to happen is the temperature increases steadily over hundreds of years until it gets to a point where even microbes are unable to survive. At that point, all life is dead, the oceans have boiled off and then the sun simply vaporizes the planet and absorbs it into its mass, probably belching afterwards. Rogue neutron star. One is due to pass through a region of our solar system called the Oort cloud, a vast region of gas, dust and planetary objects like space rocks and icy big things. A neutron star is a hyper-dense star that has an immense gravitational field, due to the incredible density of the mass it has. When it passes through the Oort cloud, it is going to cause chaos. It will more than likely fling a lot of matter out into interstellar space, but it could also fling some big objects in, towards the sun, perhaps on a collision course with Earth. This isn't due to happen for another 500,000 years or so, and the effects would be spread over millions of years. Man-made AI. Somewhat more feasible is the nightmare scenario of an artificial intelligence that could become self-aware and decide that we are the most prominent threat to its existence. Likely if we had no control over it, it would not hesitate to try and wipe us from the face of the Earth, and we would be truly screwed if this happened. Man-made nanites. Nanites are very useful, for all kinds of reasons. However, in the wrong hands, nanites are potentially threatening to all life on Earth. Go watch the Stargate series and the episodes where the replicators come about. Or, The Day the Earth Stood Still, reboot with Keanu Reeves. A man-made virus, bacteria, spore. Biological weapons have been around for centuries, but only now do we have the power to create horrifying viruses and pathogens that kill in hours. If they were to be released en masse, perhaps through the water systems of many countries, it could be a horrendous end for the human race. My personal favorite. A fungus evolves that spreads exceedingly rapidly and is very hard to kill. It releases a spore that humans are susceptible to, but instead of just causing pneumonia etc., it affects the brain and causes us to kill ourselves in the millions. 1. Near-Earth object. In other words, some chunk of comet or asteroid hits the Earth. These things go really, really fast. So it's hard to really grasp how little of a thing it takes to wipe out everything we know. For example, the size of the Chicxulub impactor, wiped out the dinosaurs, was like 100 miles across. Tunguska flattened an area of about 45 miles by 35 miles. The meteorite was about the size of a football field, and probably didn't even hit the ground. Krakatoa has been on the front page recently, so I'll also mention Yellowstone. Basically the whole area around Yellowstone is a massive volcano. It would probably be a pretty bad month or two just in the warm-up before a major eruption. Let alone the bad year or 3 afterwards. Pretty sure I saw somewhere that there are rogue planets zipping around the galaxy, universe at near light speed. They aren't tied to any star and just sort of crash into things building momentum and mass. Even scarier is the possibility that there are black holes doing the same thing and could just eat us whole in the blink of an eye. We'd be gone so fast we probably couldn't do much to prepare, let alone prevent it. George Carlin. Unless we physically blow up the planet itself, we will not destroy the world. We might render it inhospitable for human habitation, but the Earth will still be here long after humans are gone. Dinosaurs walked the Earth for millions of years and yet Earth seems to be doing just fine without them. Human beings have existed in their present form for less than 500,000 years. On a planetary timescale, we literally just walked in the door of the party. Strangelet ** is a hypothetical particle that is composed of up, down, and strange quarks. For comparison, a proton is composed of 2 up quarks and a down quark, and a neutron is composed of an up quark and 2 down quarks. Closing parenthesis. The good news is that strangelets are thought to decay very, very quickly. But if one were to touch some part of the planet, we'd be utterly annihilated. C. Due to the way that subatomic particles interact, large collections of strange matter are thought to be more stable than smaller ones. The bigger a given strange mass is, the hardier it is, so to speak. As such, all it would take to completely doom the Earth is a strangelet the size of a helium atom. Because when baryonic matter, atoms made up of protons and neutrons, comes into contact with strange matter, it gets converted into strange matter. The chain reaction would reduce the planet, and everything on it, to a huge, hot, homogeneous, strange star, and there would be absolutely nothing we could do about it. In other words, it might only be a matter of time before a single particle wipes us out. Wouldn't that be strange? TLDR. A particle the size of a helium atom could end life as we know it at any second You suddenly feel exhaustion, the likes of which you've not encountered before. Your eyelids are drooping, your body sags against whatever furniture is nearest. You gasp for breath. If there are any people around you, they're calling your name or trying to get your attention, but their voices are heard at a great distance. Fading. All your senses leave you and it dawns that you are dying. You might suspect a cause, or you might not. At this point, it doesn't really matter what did it. The world goes black and your thoughts become erratic and formless. Everything ceases to exist, at least for you. Your senses suddenly rush back to you and you take an enormous breath of life, and everything returns to normal. You put your bong down and head to the kitchen for Cheez-Its.